Hello guys, ComputerX here, and today we're gonna go with the database first approach. We're gonna use Entity Framework. We're gonna use the scaffold method, the scaffold command, and it's gonna help us transform our database tables or our entities into models that we can use in our project. So first let's go ahead and pick the ASP.NET Core web application. I'm gonna call it tutorial. Let's create that. I'm gonna pick API. Okay, now since we're going with the database first approach, let's open Microsoft SQL Server Management and create a new database. I'm gonna call it person database. Let's expand that and pick tables and create a new table. Of course, we have our ID, which is of type integer. We have our first name. I'm gonna go with varchar 40. We also have a last name with the same data type. And for the sake of this example, I'm gonna go with address. Although in real life examples, you would create a separate table for the address, since one person can have many addresses, and an address is consisted of many things like a city, a street, etc. Now let's save that, Ctrl S. I'm gonna call it person. Now that we have, first let's set that as a primary key. Now that we have our table, since we're using the database first approach, we're gonna generate the code, the models from the database. Now to do that, we're gonna use Entity Framework. First thing, we need to go to Tools and to connect to our database. So go to Connect to a database. In server name, let's press refresh. Okay, now it's done. Now you have to choose your appropriate server name. For me, it's this one. And now we need to choose our database. So the person database that we just created. Let's test the connection. Everything's good. Okay. Now here in the Server Explorer, now the next step is to get our connection string. So to do that, we need to go to the Server Explorer. That's our connection that we just made right now. If you right click on this and press on properties, you can see that we got our connection string right here under the connection tab. So let's pick this, let's copy that, and we need to add it to our AppSettings.JSON. So let's come here and add our connection string. Now I'm gonna call it person database, and let's paste our connection string here. Okay. Now the next step would be to go to Tools, go to NuGet Package Manager, because we need to install some packages that we're gonna need to do that scaffolding I was talking about. So first we need to download Microsoft.EntityFrameWorkCore.SqlServer. Let's pick our project and install. Okay. I accept. We also need to install the Microsoft.EntityFrameWorkCore.Tools package. So let's install that. Okay. Now the next step would be to execute the command. So let's go to Tools, NuGet package manager console. And the command that we're going to be using is, we're going to be using this command here to scaffold. I'm going to leave it down in the description. Let's copy that. And let's open our package manager console. Again, to open that, you can go to tools, NuGet package manager console. Gonna paste that. Now here we're gonna have to add our connection string, which is this one. If we have a double quotation here, we need a double backslash, we need to remove one, because if not it's gonna generate an error. And here before DbContext we need to name it whatever we want. I'm gonna name it person. And what this does actually, it creates the annotations for our properties in our model class. So if we have a primary key, for example, it would say ID. I'm gonna show you how and what I mean. But first let's execute this. And as you can see, it generated this folder right here for us, repository. It has the model. Now if we had more tables than this one, it would have generated everything. But since we only have one table, it generated this model. And this is the annotation I was talking about. Column last name, key. It showed the data type, varchar 40, string length 40. And yeah, it said it's a primary key. So those are the annotations. They are here to help you. That's why I like to add them. And it also generated this one to talk to the database. We don't have to worry about this because the scaffolding did that for us. And that's how I personally use the database first approach. I create my database, all the tables, all the relationships between those tables, and I use Entity Framework. I use the Scaffold command to generate my models so I can use them in my project. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like if it helped you, and if you have any problem, please let me know down in the comments.